It is about 7:30 p.m. I'm in the Nana area of Bangkok on Soi 2, coming up on the Embassy of Pakistan. A lot of embassies here in Bangkok. And I'm heading to, and I'll pronounce it wrong, Bumrungrad Hospital, one of the major fancy international hospitals here in Bangkok. I actually had to, I had like a stomach virus thing going on. I just didn't want to suffer. It had been going more than a day. So I headed over to hopefully get in to see a doc. The doctor's clinic, which is similar to an urgent care in the United States, had, I think they said, about an hour and a half wait. However, they told me I could go to the emergency room and there was zero wait. I was a little concerned about what my copay, I have Blue Cross federal insurance, would be at the emergency room. I know it's $150, maybe $200 in the United States. They really try to discourage you heading into the emergency room for something like a stomach issue. But I was kind of hurting, said what the heck, I didn't want to wait a couple hours. I went to the insurance department. So if you have insurance, in my case, Blue Cross Federal, I know they take, I want to say Cigna, Aetna, they have agreements. This hospital is kind of so nice and fancy that they even do direct billing. Blue Cross has agreed with the hospital to guarantee payment of services, and then you just pay the small copay. Other hospitals, like I just had an incident in Bali, I ripped my head open surfing and had to get 5 stitches, no big deal. But that hospital, I definitely had to pay cash up front, and then I'll submit the receipts to Blue Cross for whatever amount they're going to reimburse me, probably 80 or 90%. Where here, you don't have to pay up front. Once you're registered as a patient, I haven't gone to the doctor that many times at once, so I think the procedure, and that's what I'll find out tonight, is you're supposed to get pre-approved for your visit. So I have these 5 stitches in my head that need to come out in the next 2 or 3 days. And I also owe them a $30 copay. That was my copay for the emergency room visit. So it wasn't anywhere near $200 like in the US. Blue Cross emailed back, or maybe the hospital emailed me back and said, yeah, it was about $300 US for the emergency room visit, and you owe 30 bucks. So I'm gonna go up, pay that right now. The other nice thing is the billing office, insurance office, I think they're all open till about 9 p.m., maybe even later. So I'm gonna go in, get pre-approved for my visit in the next 2 or 3 days. That way, when I show up, I think it's just already agreed upon, pay 10 bucks or whatever the Blue Cross copay is, and Blue Cross will then guarantee the other payment. So we'll check it out. Soi 4 and the Nana red light district is on the other side of the BTS. You can kind of see the train off in the distance there. And I'm not sure if it's politically correct, but this little area over here is called Little Arabia and has a really good host of shish kebab, all kinds of really good Middle Eastern food. So it's the Little Arabia area. I'll say if on Soi 1, it's maybe Soi 3. And off in the distance, I did a video on Rooftop Bar, and that is above 11. So that's Soi 11 with the lighted rooftop up there. So as you're walking up Soi 1, you're going to come to the 3 hotel. And right here is Bumrungrad International Hospital. It's that large series of buildings. If you get really sick or you get hurt, don't be afraid to come to these emergency rooms in Thailand. It's top-notch healthcare. I mean, people come from all over the world. They call it medical tourism to have their open heart surgery and whatnot. They come from all around to Thailand. It's just well known for super professional service, and this is always in the conversation as one of the best hospitals in town. So I'm going to show you what you need to do. Over here is the emergency room, and over here is I'll call it medical offices. head to the Starbucks. And yes, they have a Starbucks in this hospital. They also have a person in the lobby playing piano, like a Nordstrom's. But head over to the building with the McDonald's and the Starbucks, and there's an information desk, and that lady will make your appointment, point you in the direction you need to go. So just go in, explain your problem. Hopefully the doctor's clinic is open. It's probably a little more affordable than the emergency room visit. But the emergency room, it wasn't crazy. I went in, they did, I think I did a urinalysis test. I didn't give blood, but they did test my urine and gave me a shot of something, some type of antibiotics and medicine. And the whole deal was about $220 cash US. So even if I didn't have insurance, you're out $220 at one of the best hospitals in town. So we're heading over to, I believe this is Building B. And here's your valet parking. And just right when you go straight in, this gentleman at the desk over here, explain to him your situation and he'll point you in the direction you need to go. So I'm at the cashier paying my $30 emergency room copay. And these offices over here are the International Insurance Office. They speak multiple languages, including English, which is helpful for me. Of course, always bring your passport when you're registering as a patient. I keep a color copy of my passport, including my current visa, which shows that I'm legally allowed to be in Thailand. Just keep that paper in my wallet. I don't like hauling my passport around, but you're going to need that for identification, checking in, getting registered to the hospital. And in the case of this hospital, they gave me a little kind of a flimsy credit card, which is a hospital ID. So I hope I'm not being admitted anytime soon. To give you an example of the hospital rooms, but different YouTube videos I've seen, they look more like hotel rooms with queen size beds. Beautiful, beautiful facilities. And you'll find every kind of specialty clinic here. This is the colorectal surgery center. And up on the second floor of the B building, the building with the McDonald's and the Starbucks, this is the registration. This will be your first stop, unless it's an emergency, and the emergency room will be your first stop. But if you want to get pre-approved, checked into the hospital, come up here to registration with your passport, all that information. They'll get you your little ID card. And then, in my case anyhow, right across the way here is the International Insurance Department. And the last time I was here, she told me the same thing. She said today it'll probably be pre-approved by tomorrow. However, last time it was approved in minutes, 30 minutes. But if you don't want to risk having to pay up front, you might want to pre-arrange your appointments with an email to that department. Just give them a day or two, let them know when you're coming in for an appointment, and let them do their work with your insurance, wherever it might be. In my case, the US, and keep in mind the time differences. Of course, if things are a crazy emergency, over here is Soi 1. You're just going to come straight in, and right where the big Bumrungrad logo is, right there is the emergency room. There's a desk on the left. They'll check you in, probably send you over to this gentleman, and then right back you go. I think I waited 10 minutes to be seen. Maybe I got lucky, but was nothing like emergency rooms in the United States where you could sit there waiting 2 or 3 hours. I don't 100% understand how ambulances work here in Bangkok. From what I understand, now this is barstool talk, they're mostly privatized. So when you call the emergency services, and it's not 911, I'll have to look it up. Maybe it's 611. When you call, I'm not sure though. I think the nearest ambulance comes, and it's a private situation. If you want a specific ambulance to bring you to, say, this hospital, I believe you have to register with their ambulance service or whoever's contracted to them. Again, I'm not 100% sure, but in my case, I'm not super close to this hospital. I'm maybe 8 train stops away, and there's 3 hospitals in between my home and this place. Now, of course, if you're having a heart attack, they're probably going to take you to the closest place, get you stable, and then maybe transfer you over here if you need other requirements. But if this is where you want to be brought directly every time, and keep in mind, Bangkok traffic is no joke, but if that's a decision you make, well, that's probably the phone number right on the back of that ambulance, and they're going to bring you directly to this hospital. If perhaps you live in the Philippines or someplace close to Bangkok and you want to come over here to have an orthopedic surgery or whatever, 50 feet from the hospital is a Best Western Premier. And then there's this place, Sarah's Inn. You really can't get much closer to the hospital than that for your loved ones. It looks like they also have a BTS Nana shuttle van service. If you're not feeling well or you dislocated your knee, you might not want to walk the probably 4 blocks back to the BTS. They also have what I'll assume to be is a top-notch dental hospital somewhere on the premises. Myself, I had a little filling that came out, and I sent an email here, and I sent an email to another very popular spot here in Bangkok. I did a video on the Bangkok International Dental Hospital, and they got back to me in 5 minutes, whereas the Bumrungrad, I think they got back to me in about an hour. I was already in the dentist chair having my little filling that popped out replaced. By that point, I was happy with the place, so that's where I'll go. But if you're starting fresh, you might want to look into their dental hospital as well. It's a few days later, and I am heading back to the hospital to have these stitches removed out of my head. Should go nice and smooth. It's Sunday, about 4 in the afternoon. Beautiful day here in Bangkok. Back at the Nana BTS and the Bumrungrad Hospital. It is, where am I? This is Soi 7 and it's Soi 1. So pretty much on the other side of that large hotel. They do keep it very specialized. In my case, stitches. I went up to the front desk and explained my situation. Hey, you know, I banged my head in Bali and I need to get these stitches removed here in Thailand. So they made me an appointment with the surgery department. And at the time I told her, no, you know, that's an overkill. I mean, a nurse can take these, I could take the stitches out myself if they weren't on the top of my head. But still, she said, no, it's not going to cost you any extra. We'll just, hopefully they're not going to have a surgeon remove them. That would just be crazy. So here I am in the surgery department. I think the Holistic Wound Care Center to have my, or maybe the robotic surgery center, I don't know, to have my 4 stitches removed. Hanging out in the waiting room, watching a little Storage Wars. Yeah, they have free water and it looks like apple juice. There's the robotic surgery breast center. So I'm all set. It took about 45 minutes total, get checked in, blood pressure, and if anything, it was a bit of an overkill. They took me to an outpatient surgery room with the big surgery lights, and everybody was in a gown and paper hood, and popped out my 4 little stitches on my head, and I'm good to go. They did present me with a bill to take to the cashier. Since I was pre-approved with my Blue Cross insurance, I had to pay a 15% copay of 1900 baht was the total bill, or 59 US dollars, and I paid 285 baht, or 9 US dollars. So there you go. If I was not pre-approved, I'm not sure. I maybe would have had to pay the whole bill up front and get reimbursed. I think they would have just billed me for the copay, because on my last visit, I came in at 3 in the afternoon. They said, we're gonna call your insurance and you know, we'll go from there. as I was waiting for the procedure, they told me just pay nothing today and we'll send you an email for the copay that you owe. So keep that in mind. You might have to pay up front if you present them with a large insurance company like Blue Cross or Sigma. Perhaps they'll just bill you for the copay and you can pay online. When I first came to Thailand, I was trying to get a handle on the healthcare system, and I only have San Diego, California to compare it to. You would rarely go to a hospital in San Diego unless you're heading to the emergency room or outpatient surgery. You'd go to a clinic, a satellite office. In my case, I went to Sharp-Rees-Steely. They're just a huge network in California of doctors, x-rays. I mean, you could do 99% of what you need done at one of these centers. Here in Thailand, it appears that you just head to the hospital. If it's the emergency room or something like an urgent care, it's all here on the hospital site. So don't try to find, there are small clinics out in town. Some of them are geared more for the locals. They may or may not communicate in English if that's your native language, but some do. I know in the Asok area there are small clinics set up for travelers, super affordable, so give that a try, especially if you don't have insurance. But if you're moving over here as an expat or spending any length of time, eventually you might have to see a doctor. Just plan on going to one of the larger hospitals and you'll go from there.